Once upon a time, in a grand and peaceful kingdom, there lived a king who was known for his kindness and wisdom. This king had only one leg and one eye, but his disabilities never stopped him from being a great leader. Under his rule, the people of the kingdom enjoyed a happy and healthy life. His fairness and intelligence were admired by everyone, and the kingdom prospered under his guidance. One day, as the king strolled through the hallways of his magnificent palace, he noticed the portraits of his ancestors hanging on the walls. Each portrait told the story of a strong and proud ruler who had once governed the land. The king thought deeply and said to himself, "Someday my children and future generations will walk through these halls. They will see these portraits and remember the rulers of our family. But where is my portrait? Who will remember me?" This thought made the king realize that his portrait had not yet been made. However, he hesitated. He thought about his physical disabilities and worried, what if the painting doesn't look good? How will I be remembered? After some reflection, he decided to commission a portrait, despite his concerns. The king sent invitations to the most talented painters in his kingdom and neighboring lands, summoning them to his court. When the painters arrived, he addressed them with great hope. "I want a beautiful portrait of myself," the king announced. "It will hang in this hallway alongside the portraits of my ancestors. Whoever can make this painting will be rewarded generously." The painters were nervous. They whispered among themselves, "How can we make the king's portrait beautiful when he has only one leg and one eye? If the painting doesn't turn out well, he might be offended or even angry. What if we get punished one by one?" They started making excuses. Some said they were not skilled enough for such a task, while others politely declined, fearing the challenge. Just when it seemed no one would take up the king's request, one brave and creative painter stepped forward. "Your Majesty," he said confidently, "I will paint a portrait of you that will be beautiful and worthy of hanging alongside your ancestors' portraits. You will surely like it." Hearing this, the king's face lit up with hope and excitement. He allowed the painter to proceed, and everyone in the court watched curiously as the artist began his work. The painter carefully observed the king and thought deeply about how to approach the task. He didn't want to simply show the king's disabilities. Instead, he wanted to portray the king's strength and wisdom in a way that everyone would admire. The painter worked tirelessly, sketching and painting with great care. He chose the perfect colors and paid attention to every detail. Days turned into weeks, and the court waited anxiously for the final result. Some courtiers whispered among themselves, doubting the outcome. How can he possibly make the king look good in the painting? They wondered. Finally, the day came when the painter announced that the portrait was ready. He brought it to the court and unveiled it before the king and all the courtiers. For a moment, there was silence. Everyone stared at the painting in amazement. The portrait showed the king sitting proudly on a majestic horse. The horse cleverly hid the side with his missing leg, and he was holding a bow, aiming an arrow with one eye closed, as though focusing on a target. The painting beautifully captured the king's courage, dignity, and strength. It didn't hide his disabilities. It highlighted his abilities and the qualities that made him a great ruler. The king was overjoyed. He looked at the painting with pride and gratitude. "This is perfect," he exclaimed. "You have not only painted a beautiful portrait, but also shown my strength and wisdom. You have truly honored me." The court erupted in applause, and everyone praised the painter for his skill and creativity. The king rewarded the painter generously with gold, jewels, and great honor. The portrait was hung in the hallway alongside those of his ancestors, where it became a symbol of inspiration for generations to come. Moral: we should always focus on the good in people rather than their shortcomings. Every individual has strengths, even if they also have weaknesses. By thinking positively and approaching challenges with creativity, we can find solutions that not only solve problems, but also uplift and inspire others.